Yeah. And I think it's important, this connection you did also with our bodies here, because what you just mentioned, that the search for a coherent ontology, that is definitely my first step in what I would argue could help support this transition. We need to develop a new worldview, meaning that we need to develop a new way to see our relationship with ourselves, with each other, with society, right, and with the planet. Yep. So part of this is a new worldview. Yep. That could be communicated and learned. Yep. And we are seeing part of an understanding of a new world already emerging. Totally. Things like we need to not stop looking at ourselves as just isolated individuals, maximizing our own utility function.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we are individuals.
Economic man is,
yes. Homo economicus.
But it's also like, not really.
Homo economicus. And we are individuals, and we should respect and we should cherish that fact. But we are also interconnected. Totally. And interconnected so much more than we have understood before in so many ways. So going from this individualistic perspective to the interconnected and interrelated perspective is part of this shift in worldview. Totally. Another shift is, as we just did, stop looking at the world from an atomistic, analytic perspective where we are mainly seeing the world through the lens of things. Yep. And start to look at the world as processes. Totally. Where very many of these processes are self-organizing, developmental processes. Yep. Another shift is going from the view of our mind as a rational machine, the Enlightenment view of Locke's blank slate and Descartes' machine, to realize that our mind is also a constantly developing process. And that developmental process, adaptive system, seeing our culture and society not as something given, but something created and recreated by ourselves, and so on. I mean, there are many parts of an emerging worldview that we can see. But this cognitive shift is only one part. Right. Then I think when you were mentioning that this needs to be embodied, then I would say that the cognitive worldview shift needs to be supported by and complemented by developing our inner capacities.
Absolutely.
And that's where this sort of transformative education comes in. How can we cultivate these abilities? Completely. For example, our ability for compassion. Yep. We are not born with a certain amount of compassion. Science shows clearly that compassion is something that can be developed. Yep. But you can't just send someone on a 3-day course in compassion and then they come back.
Check the boxes and now
got the diploma. No. Right. So that is the challenge, that many of these capacities need this sort of transformative learning Bildung approach to the thing. And that could be capacity for empathy, both extending empathy and deepening empathy. It could be our capacity for perspective taking, seeing more perspectives, seeking more perspectives, holding more perspectives at the same time, even conflicting perspectives, deeper sense making, more nuanced sense making, deeper meaning making, connecting with our inner compass, becoming self-authoring in the language of Professor Robert Keegan, stop being in a socialized mind, depending constantly on the outer support from an authority for your values and your worth, but starting to generate that from an inner point.
Cultivate a post-conventional view of oneself that transcends. Absolutely.
So we have many of these inner capacities that we need to cultivate. So change our worldview, cultivate inner capacities. And then the third step, I would say, is experimenting. daring to experimenting. Go out there in the world and do small experiments. Experimenting by building communities, organizing business and organizations in new ways, new types of leadership, alternative currencies. Just experiment, and then we'll see what will work and what will not work.
Totally.
So there I have at least three ways of trying to, without knowing what's happening, at least supporting the odds for a positive emergence.